Welcome back, everybody, to another Street Sign Storytime, the show where I drive through New York and somehow keep stumbling onto roads that sound like they belong in a horror movie written by a town historian who had way too much coffee. Today's sign, a road so confidently spooky that it doesn't even have to try to hide it. Spooky Hollow Road, Clinton, New York. I don't care how brave you are and how brave you think you are. The name instantly makes you lock your car doors and check your back seat not once, but twice. But here's the wild part. This isn't a modern gimmick. The name Spooky Hollow appears in references going back to the mid-late 1800s, long before Halloween stores and horror podcasts tried to monetize fear. So today, we're diving into the real history behind that name. The native pathways beneath it, the iron mills that burned near it, why horses refused to enter it, and why people swore they saw lights weaving through the trees. Is it ghosts? Is it science? Is it just Clinton being, well, Clinton? Let's head into the Hollow. Welcome, everybody. Again, I was road tripping with the basketball team and ended up in Clinton, heading to Northeast Clinton High School to play some basketball, and, well, saw some road names. And this one stuck out, jotted it on there, did some research. Thankfully, had 5 hours of driving on a bus. Yeah. But either way, let's jump right into this, because long before Clinton had red brick buildings and booming academies, overpriced coffee shops, the land belonged to the Oneida Nation, one of the 6 nations of the, I'm going to say this word wrong, probably should have studied it, but this is for entertainment purposes, so I'm going to go with the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. This region, what's now the town of Kirkland, sits directly between major Oneida settlements, Oriska, which is near modern Oriskany, Clinton area hunting grounds, Oneida Castle, their political center for centuries. Now, Spooky Hollow Road sits almost perfectly aligned with a historic Oneida footpath documented in early settler accounts. And here's the kicker. These footpaths, they weren't random. They were trails that follow natural depressions, hollows, ridge-lined areas with predictable fog and moisture, sheltered forest corridors. These routes were chosen for travel secrecy and environmental consistency. A hollow, like Spooky Hollow, was, well, perfect. Sound didn't travel far, wind currents behaved differently, and it kept travelers hidden. Early settlers arriving around 1787 to 1790 found fire pits with shard stone, discarded stone flakes, compacted earth lanes, and partially cleared forest corridors. This wasn't speculation. It was written in the town of Kirkland settlement records and in the diaries of early Clinton residents. One settler, Ashel Norton, yes, that Norton is in, well, Norton Ave, described a deep and shaded hollow where the air is cold and the earth is soft from many feet passing. Not just animal feet, human feet, for generations. And the settlers built farms and roads atop all of the footprints. The Oneida pathways, they were kind of forgotten. The naming, well, it stuck. That hollow has always felt strange because it was old, like really, really old. And by the early 1800s, Clinton and the surrounding area weren't just academic, they were industrial. Just south of Spooky Hollow sat Franklin Iron Works, one of several early furnaces in Oneida County. These, this operation, it was pretty big. It was a charcoal fired blast furnace, ore transported from Clinton iron deposits, limestone brought by wagon from Westmoreland, and small worker villagers scattered nearby. Mills powered by the creek systems feeding Franklin Springs. And here's where Spooky Hollow enters the industrial narrative. Workers lived on the ridges and uplands north of what is now Spooky Hollow Road. To get to the furnace, they used the hollow path every single day. That path was the quickest way from homestead to furnace and back. And then came the fire. Historical records, including the Oneida County Furnace Reports, describe at least 3 serious incidents. There was an ore shed fire, a charcoal storage fire, and a furnace room collapse after an explosion. One fatality is documented, a worker who either collapsed or became kind of disoriented in the smoke. Fortunately, the body was never found near the furnace. It was actually found near the hollow, feet from the path From that moment on, local families spoke of a lantern wandering the hollow, a man walking but never arriving, a glow drifting low through the trees. Now, modern science explains ghost lights with simply saying it's swamp gas ignition, atmospheric refraction, or temperature inversions in hollows, distant lamplight bending through moisture. But in 1820, whatever. You're not thinking science. You're thinking the hollow is haunted. This is the first documented connection between the Spooky Hollow name and an actual local event. It wasn't just vibes. There was a real death tied to that ground. Clinton, it was a hub of movement in the 1800s. Students traveling to Hamilton College, ministers moving between small churches, stagecoaches on fixed routes, farmers hauling grain to mills, merchants hauling goods to Utica. That means drivers were constantly passing through hollows and wooden dips. Spooky Hollow was different. There was multiple written logs and personal accounts of drivers describing horses refusing to walk into that section. They planted their feet, snorted, bucked, or veered off. One stage driver traveling to Clinton, Franklin Springs, actually wrote, "The hollow unsettles the beasts. They sense what we do not." Another wrote, "Our lamps gutter in its shadows, and the horse grows stiff-legged and wide-eyed." Now, here's the real science behind that behavior, potentially. Cold air pools and hollows that actually cause the rapid temperature to drop. Fog then collects more heavily, reducing visibility. Tree density alters acoustics, so sounds feel a little bit muffled, and animals are uneasy in windless, low-oxygen pockets. All pretty natural, right? But imagine you're riding in a wooden box on wheels. It's 1832 and your lantern suddenly dies for no reason. The temperature then drops 15 degrees and your horse is considering a career change. Yeah, you're probably going to call that hollow a little bit haunted as well. But then by the late 1800s, Spooky Hollow had a bit of a reputation. People reported lights, not flames, not torches, just lights, hovering or drifting through the trees. Over decades, the descriptions line up disturbingly well. Pale yellow glow, low to the ground, soft greenish light that flickers but never rises, white flash that moves sideways through the fog. These accounts appear in the Clinton oral histories, 19th century residents' letters, early 20th century folklore collections, papers that are archived through local historical groups. So what is it? Of course, these lovely scientists, they just call them will-o'-the-wisp type phenomena caused by methane from decomposing organic matter. Then you get the cold, damp conditions that just cause light refraction, distant lamplight bending through atmospheric layers, and you get the earthquake lights from geological stress. They're rare, but not impossible in glacial basins. But for people living in the 1800s, these weren't gases or refractive layers. They were the mill worker who died, spirits on the Oneida Trail, warnings, omens. You know, when something happens often enough across multiple generations, it becomes part of the place. And Spooky Hollow's lights, well, they were seen often enough to enter Clinton legend. Modern land surveys, including Hamilton College Environmental Studies, show the Spooky Hollow once held two small 19th century farmsteads, a stone boundary wall, an outbuilding that collapsed before 1900, signs of pasture fencing, a small orchard area. Older apple varieties found there actually suggest like 1800s that these trees were planted. This area wasn't just a pass-through people, a pass-through. People actually lived here, and these settlers were part of Clinton's sprawling agricultural web. Excuse me. Small-scale farmers feeding the mills, the college, and nearby villages. But the hollow wasn't ideal for long-term farming. The soil was too moist. There was limited light, harsh winters, poor drainage, crop failure risks. So families, they moved uphill towards Franklin Springs. Their structures fell into ruin. Trees swallowed the walls. Cellars filled with leaves and snow. Today you can still find a little bit of the foundation outlines in some places, sunken cellar depressions, patches of stone, old iron fragments from tools, remnants of a ridgeline wall. Archaeologically, this is confirmation that Hollow had life, real life, not just ghostly tales. And that makes the eeriness stronger, because these weren't stories told about empty forests. People built their homes here. They worked here. They died here. Spooky Hollow Road isn't spooky because somebody wanted a cool street sign. It's spooky because it sits on one of the oldest travel corridors in the region. A real 1800s industrial death happened nearby. Horses, they refused to enter the dip in the woods. Strange lights, they were reported for generations. Forgotten homesteads still sit under the leaves. and the geography itself creates natural illusions. And Clinton, with its ironworks, its college, its abolitionist history, has always been a place where stories carry weight. Drive it at noon and it's a quiet country road. Drive it at night and you understand exactly why people named it that way. Thanks for hanging out for another episode of the Street Sign Storytime. Who knows where my travels will take me, except for a lot of places in northern New York, St. Lawrence County. And I'm looking forward to this. Hopefully you're enjoying the new format over on the Beard Laws Network with some more history. A little bit of mystery still, but more real facts instead of me just assuming and coming up with ways that I think that maybe they came up with the road name. If you like the other ones better, let me know. But we're going to continue with the real history from now on. So if you have a road name suggestion, drop it in the comments. But either way, I'm having fun with it. So we'll do this again next week. See you next time. Take care, everybody.